Hello, I'm Guy, and this is Guy Robot. Hello! Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Bitfinex Prodigy M case, which, as you can see here, I've now actually used and built something with. I've had this case for a while. I thought I'd actually get used to it, have a play with it, and then I thought I'd share my thoughts on it. Now, this is probably one of the most reviewed cases out there. It's the successor to the Bitfinex Prodigy, which was only for ITX boards and had a slightly different design. It was so popular they took the design of it and modified it so it could also have ATX boards. Now, I chose this case because although this is an ITX project I'm doing, I want to have the flexibility to use it for ATX boards in the future, and I also thought that if it's been modified for ATX boards, there might be slightly more room to work than just one of the normal ITX cases. I thought it'd be worth sharing my thoughts on this product as well, because unlike most reviews that are solely around gaming builds and trying to fit as much as possible in there, this is actually a fairly sparse build. All I've got in there is a single SSD and no add-on cards. So it's about as empty as you could possibly get a build. Everything else is bootstrapped off the network. So how did I find the case? Well, going through unboxing, the very first thing that hit me, unfortunately, taking it out the box, was how cheap these plastic handles feel. Yeah, it looks like a Mac Pro. Having owned a Mac Pro, doesn't feel like a Mac Pro. But luckily, that is just these plastic handles on the top and the bottom. The rest of the case is actually really well made. These side panels are ridiculously strong steel, and the front is a lovely, nice kind of soft, plush finish to it. Other people have described it as like a leather feel. I'm not sure of leather, but it's a nice soft touch. And really impressively, they have, despite the plethora of materials on there, they have perfectly colour matched all of the blues. I like that. The other thing that struck me is actually just how big it is. Now, yes, it's not massive. It is a third of the size of my main case. It's 2/3 of the size of the ATX case. I recently got the DS200, but it is big for an ITX case. The board was previously in a little tiny 1U chassis that I had, and it was packed the rafters in there. This case is quite wide, quite chunky. This is not the kind of case you're going to have sat on your TV unit somewhere if you want to do a little build out the way. It's definitely noticeable, but I think it looks really nice, so I wouldn't mind showing it off. You can take these feet top and bottom off, and I did take them off. I'll tell you why in a bit. However, it doesn't look anywhere near as nice when you take those off. So don't think, oh, I'll just get it and I'll just take those off and it will look smaller. It actually looks a little bit like a 1990s beige box case then where they spray painted it blue. So don't be tempted to do that. Getting inside the computer, opening it up, the first thing I noticed was how short the 5¼ inch bay was. It's like that deep, which is fine. You can use it for a fan controller. And in reality, you're not going to use this for an optical drive. Now, if you did use it for an optical drive, which apparently you can do, other than the lack of support for the full length of it, it seriously impinges on room that you've got for your PSU potentially, if you need to do some dirty hacking in there. It impinges on where you'd be able to put a full-size GPU, and it also removes a 3.5-inch mounting bay. So you're probably not going to use it for anything other than a fan controller. If you're only using 2.5-inch discs and SSDs, you're well in. There are actually 5 you can do. You can fit 2 of them in the side panel of the case, and you can fit 3 more in a mounting tray that goes here. Now, I've actually removed the mounting tray because I wanted to show it off, but that is pretty cool that you can fit 5 in there. You can also fit, I think it's 4 3.5-inch drives, depending on what you're using and which of the base you've got in there. If you do care about graphics and GPUs, then you can use somewhere between a 230 and 320mm graphics card. So that means your top-end ones are maybe going to fit, but that is very dependent on where the port is on your motherboard and how big your PSU is. Your PSU in here actually goes up the side near the front of the case rather than the back. Your motherboard will sit the other way, which means that if you've got one of the nearest PCI sockets to the CPU on your motherboard and you've got a tall PSU, they're going to collide. So it very much depends on your configurations, what you can do here. Don't expect that you'll definitely be able to fit the biggest one in there unless you have a really small power supply or a big enough motherboard with a fast lane at the top. And that's the thing in this. Despite it being a wide case, there isn't a huge amount of room in it. That's probably liberal. There's no room in it. It looks really nice, and you can get a nice setup out of it. But man, it's fiddly to it. There is 0 cable room on the side panel. This panel on the left-hand side of the case, for me, has got SSD mounted inside of it. You can have 2 SSDs in there, and it's also got your USB power, reset, LEDs, and front audio. So there's quite a few cables that run there. Now, running all those cables with absolutely nothing, not a single millimeter spare, doesn't bode well for cable management. You've also got the problem that inside it, there's really nowhere to put the cables. And the placement of the PSU, I quite like it. So I'm doing something weird with this. I've actually got a nano PSU that I've built my own enclosure for to make it look like a modular PSU. That works quite nicely. For anyone else, you've actually got a normal power socket at the back and then an internal cable that routes around. Then you mount it into your power supply and kind of it feeds in underneath. If you've got a power supply that's up to 160 millimeters, odds are you're good. If it's going to be anything more than that, I think the case officially supports up to 180 mil. In reality, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. The smaller, the better. With the case, you also get 2 fans that come included. What you don't get is this side panel with a window. Now, I bought this as an optional extra. It was only £10 extra, but because I'm not using the mounting plate with all discs on there, I think it was really worth it. And the blue and orange build I've got going works really nicely. I've actually used the Bitphoenix Alchemy orange cables and some orange LEDs in there as well. Separate video for the build on this, but I'm really happy with how it worked out, and I'm glad I spent the £10 extra on that. The one thing I would say, if you buy the window panel, you're meant to have the SSD mounts and the power buttons and the side audio on the side where the window is. However, if you go for the windowed one, you have to put it onto the other side. So that's where you lose all of your cable management room. The flip side with that is also all your buttons are on upside down. So you actually have to take out your power and reset buttons and turn them upside down in order for the case to not look weird when it's on. So that's where your cable management room goes. I think if you didn't have the window, it would be slightly better for doing that, but it wouldn't look anywhere as near as nice. It does look like a little sexy Mac Pro, but blue. Brilliant. It's pretty affordable. It's about £60. It's certainly not the cheapest out there, but it's also not the most expensive. I am curious what the Phanteks Evolve Mini ITX would be like. Yes, that doesn't do ATX boards. However, for an ITX project, it's about the same price, and I suspect it would be nicer. But when you consider this can do ATX boards, actually it's a pretty good mid-sized case at that point. I also like the fact I've got room for 5 SSDs in there, and even a decent amount of 3.5 inch, and these side metal panels are really good construction. Downsides on it, no cable management room. They haven't really thought about this windowed panel, meaning everything flips onto the side, but there's absolutely no room, bit fiddly to work in. And the power supply, could be really annoying depending on what you're trying to build. However, the 2 biggest problems on this were quality control. This video should have probably been here a month ago. Got delayed because the lovely side panel I ordered turned up with the window smashed in it. Unfortunately, the supplier I bought it from hadn't done in stock. They've just contacted Bitphoenix. Bitphoenix said, "Ooh, that's the supplier we send out our ROAs from in your country. They haven't got any in stock." So I had to wait for it to get shipped internationally before I was actually able to get one. Bitphoenix were really nice and they kept in contact and they were proactive about it. But I was pretty annoyed I had to wait to do it in the first place. And then, after all that time, I finally opened the case. I hadn't opened it before because I thought this would be kind of fun for the unboxing itself. And what did I find? This corner up here, kind of smushed and out. The problem was that when the case had been assembled, a rivet in the side had not been applied properly. And so my solution to that was get a hammer and hit it very, very hard. So I've actually knocked off some of the black paint under here now, but I had to dismantle, this is why I had to take the top and bottom feet off, so I could get access to the rivets, and I had to in effect re-rivet the side of the case. Now, 2 quality control issues from 2 different bits of the case, which have come on 2 different orders from 2 different suppliers, because the side panel of the case came from different places at different times. That's a quality control issue. And Bitphoenix, not impressed with that. But I am impressed with the customer service, staying in contact with me and being friendly. And I'm impressed with most other things with the case. Quality control you do need to have a think about, and I make sure you double check your case over before you accept it completely. I've enjoyed working on this case. I'm going to do a video on the build soon. Hopefully this has been a useful video for some of you guys as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and please subscribe. Don't forget, you can check me out, GuyRobot TV, on Facebook and Twitter, and check some of my new videos soon. Thanks.